Hello, dear students. I hope you all are fine and doing well. Dear student, I welcome you all on behalf of Sri Jayendra Rank June classes. Dear student, now we are going to start with the class 11th chapter, that is Plant Kingdom. And we will be continue with this lecture series and we will discuss in detail about the kingdom planting. Already we have discussed about kingdom Monera, kingdom Protista, and kingdom Fungi in biological classification chapter. Now in this, we are going to mainly deal with the kingdom plant. Okay. So if you talk about some introductory part, then you know that heterotrophic fungi are there. Okay. Then prokaryotic Monera are there, and unicellular eukaryotic protistans are there. They possess a cell wall. And in that also, in fungi, we have studied that the cell wall is mainly made up of chitin. In Monera, the bacteria, the cell wall is made up of peptidoglycan. And in some of the protists, the cell wall is present, like ditums. In this, a siliceous cell wall is there. In dinoplasmate, it is made up of pectocellulose, cellulose, and pectin. In euglenoid, it is absent actually. So we have discussed such things in the previous chapter. Now they have been excluded from the plantae. Initially, it was kept under kingdom plantae by the Linnaeus, but now they have been excluded from the kingdom plantae, though were in earlier classification. Earlier it was that in this particular class, kingdom plantae. So the cyanobacteria that are also referred as blue-green algae, they are not algae anymore. Why? Because they have a structural similarity with the bacteria. So what scientists did? They removed this blue-green algae from the kingdom plantae and kept it in the kingdom Monera. So you can see this is the filamentous trichomes of blue-green algae. You can see. Okay. So this is the thing. And this is the introductory part which we have already discussed. Now we have a separate kingdom, that is kingdom plantae, and now this kingdom plantae contain or consist of all eukaryotes. See, if we talk about plant kingdom, if we talk about plants, if we talk about herbs, shrubs, and trees, they have a eukaryotic cellular structure. So kingdom plantae contain all eukaryotic organisms. Generally, these plants are multicellular, chlorophyll containing organism, and they have a cellulosic cell wall. If we talk about a kingdom plantae, they have cellulosic cell wall, and they have a autotrophic mode of nutrition. They are able to synthesize their own food. They are not dependent on other organisms. That is the speciality of this kingdom. So now we are going to discuss in this chapter about this plants, this eukaryotic organism, this particular herb, shrub, trees, this particular, we can say, multicellular organism, okay, and autotrophic organism. So in this chapter, we will describe first algae. We are going to deal with the algae in detail. In that also we will study as the diagram represent the green algae. Then we will discuss about the brown algae. Then we will move further on the red algae and we will describe it in detail. Then we are going to discuss the bryophytes, okay, which are something advanced or somewhat advanced than the algae. After bryophyte, pteridophyte had evolved. So we will discuss pteridophyte. Then after pteridophyte, we will discuss the gymnosperms, which are comparatively evolved than the pteridophyte. And at last, we will discuss angiosperms. Okay, so at last we are going to discuss angiosperm, that is a flowering plant. And before angiosperm, there was no evolution of the flower. So that all we are going to discuss. Now, first we talk about the classification. First, we talk about the somewhat classification of kingdom planting. In traditional system of classification earlier, if we talk about plant kingdom, it was divided into two sub-kingdoms, that is cryptogamy and phanerogamy. So it is a traditional system of classification, and in that include cryptogams or phanerogams, which can also be called as two sub-kingdoms as a cryptogamy and phanerogamy. Cryptogamy means they do not bear conspicuous reproductive structure like seeds. Means cryptogamy do not have a visible, conspicuous means visible reproductive structure like seeds. But phanerogams have this particular evident or visible reproductive structure in form of seeds. So here, if we talk about cryptogams, these cryptogams are considered as seedless plants. These cryptogams are considered as seedless plants, and these seedless plants are the lower plants. So they include algae, bryophyte, and pteridophyte. These are the lower plants and seedless plants. Whereas phanerogams have a seed, that is a conspicuous visible structure, reproductive structure, and that include gymnosperm and angiosperm. So cryptogams are seedless plant, and phanerogams, if we talk, they are seeded plants. Means they have seeds. After this, if we talk about cryptogams, as we have discussed, include algae, bryophyte, and pteridophyte, which are non-flowering plant. Like you can see, these are the structure. Phanerogams are earlier known as flowering plant, but we remember later on it also got modified, and we call it actually seeded plant. And flowering plant or are not all phanerogams, only angiosperms are the flowering plants. Phanerogams are also called spermatophytes, as of spermatophytes, seed-bearing plants. Phanerogams also seed-bearing plants, spermatophytes, because also they are also seed-bearing plants. Okay. So you can see these are the flowers. So let's see 2 to 3 of the basic questions. Which of the following are phanerogams? As we have discussed just that higher plants are the phanerogams, seeded plants. So it includes gymnosperm and angiosperm. So the angiosperm becomes the correct answer. After this, cryptogams, you know, they are the seedless plant. So non-flowering plant, we can say. Flowering plant, they are not spermatophytes, they are not seed-producing plants. They do not produce seeds. So the correct answer becomes non-flowering. Which of these are called as spermatophytes? You know that the phanerogams are known as spermatophytes. So they belong or they include gymnosperm and angiosperm. So these are some of the basic questions which we have discussed. Okay. Now after this, we are going to talk about the classification system mainly. Okay. And in this classification system, we are going to talk about classification system which actually distributed particularly this plant kingdom. And apart from that, also we will discuss some of the terminology which is related, which is important to study this project. Okay. So if we classify these cryptogams and phanerogams further, we remember as we have discussed, and we have discussed Halophyta, Bryophyta, and this Pteridophyta, that all we have discussed. Okay, now I am coming to the classification system. classification system of kingdom plant. Okay, so if we talk about a classification system, then first system was the artificial system classification. This artificial system of classification given by Aristotle and later on joined by the Linnaeus. And this artificial system of classification, if we talk about, based on morphological structure, based on morphological or gross superficial character, like habit, color, number and shape of leaves. And these are the vegetative character, okay, morphological character, androecium structure as a basic character for classification. This the basis for classification of this system was included by Linnaeus. So this is androecium structure that is included by Linnaeus. So it is based on two things, that is androecium structure and morphological characters. Now, if we talk about further classification, they have included, as we have studied, one or two morphological characters, and androecium structure was included. And due to including this androecium structure, this system is also known as sexual system of classification. This artificial system classification is also known as sexual system of classification. Here, Linnaeus what did? Linnaeus classified plant kingdom into 24 classes. And these 24 classes are named as like monandria, diandria. Okay, like this they have been named. But out of this 24 classes, based on the number of stamen, this 24 classes based on number of stamen. Out of this 24 classes, he included phanerogams, that is gymnosperm and angiosperm, into 23 classes. Included gymnosperm and angiosperm in 23 classes. And the remaining one class where he included other plants like algae, fungi, mosses, ferns in a cryptogamy. Okay, so this was done in artificial system by Linnaeus and initially by Aristotle, and here the basis was used as a morphological character and intrusion structure. But this classification has certain drawbacks. So let's talk about the drawback or limitation, we can say. So if we talk about limitation or drawback of this artificial system classification, then the first is they separated closely related species they separated closely related species into different groups because it is based on few characteristics. Second thing, this artificial system classification given equal weightage to both vegetative and sexual or reproductive characters. And this equal weightage to vegetative and sexual character is not acceptable since we know that often the vegetative characters are more easily affected by environment. So vegetative character can get changed. Okay. So due to this, some of the limitation or drawback, there is a need of certain advanced classification system. So after this drawback, to cover this drawback or to recover this drawback or to make a correction, the new classification system evolved, and that is known as the natural system classification. So let's talk about the natural system classification. Natural system classification. Now, if you talk about natural system classification, it is based on natural affinities. Is based on natural affinities, means natural relationship among organisms. And here it is not only based on external features only. And one of the thing is it not considered only external features, but also include internal features like ultrastructure, like ultrastructure, that is a microscopic structure, then their anatomy, then their embryology, and phytochemistry. So it is based on external feature as well as internal feature, means that in morphology as well as anatomy was considered here. And this natural system of classification was given for flowering plants by George Bentham and Joseph Dalton Hooker. Okay, so this classification system by given by this to particularly what as a evolved system compared to the initial one, that is a natural system, artificial system which was given by Linnaeus. But and one more important, if we talk about the drawback of this natural system classification, here phylogenetic relationship was not taken into consideration. So nowadays, the evolved classification system after natural system was given, and that was the phylogenetic system of classification. So at present, the classification system which we are going to study and that is acceptable, that is phylogenetic system of classification. Phylogenetic system of classification, which is also known as cladistics or cladistic system of classification. Now it is based on, if we talk, it is based on evolutionary relationship. Evolutionary relationship between various organisms. And based on this, this classification system was given. This classification system assumed that organisms belonging to the same taxa have a common ancestor. Means they are placed under the common ancestor. And we nowadays use information from many other sources to help resolve difficulties in classification. If we talk about this classification system, in this fossil record were used to establish genetic affinities or a relationship or a phylogenetic relationship. And this was given by or proposed by Engler and Frank, later on modified by Hutchinson and Takhtajan. And after establishing the phylogenetic relationship or evolutionary relationship, one family tree is prepared, and that family tree is known as cladogram. So cladogram is a family tree based on cladiastic or phylogenetic system of classification, or we can say the evolutionary relationship. So these three are the particularly we can say the classification system. Now after phylogeny or after classification system, next we are going to talk about the branches of taxonomy. And we are going to study three branches of taxonomy here, which are in relation with the particular classification of plant kingdom. We are going to discuss branches of taxonomy. And in branches of taxonomy, first we are going to talk about numerical taxonomy or phonetics. This numerical taxonomy is also known as phonetics, Adansonian, symmetry, taximetrics. Okay, so these are the different names given to the numerical taxonomy or numerical classification. Now it is nowadays easily carried out by the use of computers. Okay, so here why we are giving it a particularly numerical taxonomy, because here this classification is based on number of similarities and dissimilarities. So here in plants, organisms are classified based on number of similarities and dissimilarities. Okay, and here it is easily carried out by using computers. Now here number and codes are assigned to. What is the process? In the process, number and codes are assigned to all the observable characters. Character like plus, minus, 0. So dear students, why here in need of number and codes? Please understand. Suppose we are going to classify any one new organism and we are matching it with the already existing groups of organisms, and we are establishing somewhat similarities. So whatever the characters, if we are comparing one particular organism with the one already existing organism, and if we are comparing the character, then we have to write that this character is present in this new organism, and plus if the one particular character is not present in the new organism, then it is minus. And if that is not related anyhow, then we would achieve like this. Suppose we have discovered one new organism which is similar to the lion. So if we compare it with the lion or a tiger or a leopard, then we establish some of the relationship. At that time, we use this number and codes. If the particular character of a lion is present in this new organism, then we put plus. If not present, then minus. If not related, then 0. Like this, we particularly give all the particular number and codes to the already to all observable characters in the existing group characters. And after that, numerically, we will understand that how many characters are matching and how many not. Whatever the group with which the highest number of matching characters are there, that in that group we are going to keep or put this new organism. So at that point of view, this number and codes are assigned. One more thing in this numerical classification is that here organisms are with the maximum similarities are placed in the same group. So if we see here, then each character is given equal importance. One more important point is here that each character is given equal importance. And during classification, at the same time, hundreds of characters can be considered. Can be considered and matched. So here all characters are given equal importance. Here, not a single character given equal given importance. Okay, so that is the particular part of this numerical taxonomy. And the family tree, which is prepared based on numerical taxonomy, it is known as dendrogram. Okay, so this is dendrogram. You should understand. Now, after this, the remaining two branches of taxonomy, in that we are going to study second one, that is a cytotaxonomy. Or karyotaxonomy. So if we talk about this cytotaxonomy or karyotaxonomy, it is based on cytological information. Like number one, chromosome number. Number two, chromosome structure. And number three, chromosome behavior. So if this three chromosome number, structure, and behavior means genetic constitution. If these three things are taken into consideration during classification, then these are the cytological information. Because of this, it is known as cytotaxonomy and karyotaxonomy. Cyto means cytoplasm, karyo means nucleus. So here they have not differentiated the nucleus and cytoplasm clearly. So they have given an equal name. And the third classification system that we are going to discuss, that is chemotaxonomy. So organisms are classified based on chemical nature, chemical constituent, then it is known as chemotaxonomy. So here organisms are classified based on based on chemical constituent of plants like alkaloids, carotenoids, tannins, polysaccharide, nucleic acid, fatty acid, amino acid, aromatic compound, crystals like like systolic and raphides. So now what are systolic and raphides that we will discuss, but these are the chemical constituent of the plant that is helping during the classification. Because of this we call it as a chemotaxonomy. Okay, so now we understood what is cystolith and raphides. So if we talk about cystolith are crystals of calcium carbonate, and raphides are crystals of calcium oxalate. So this also helps in classification. So it is a part of chemotaxonomy. Okay, dear students. So this is the initial classification systems of particularly we can say the kingdom planting. Okay. So this is all about the introductory part and classification system. Now in next lecture, we will be continuing with the algae unit. Till that,